everybody, how are you? You got John here, and I'm doing a little solo work today, because a whole big thing happened in the world of Hearthstone. Um, so there was a big announcement yesterday in the afternoon that that lady over there, the Warsong Commander, is getting a huge nerf. So she's going from that text you see over there, whenever you summon a minion with fearless attack, give it charge, um, to a lot worse. So let me read this to you verbatim. She is now still a 3 mana 2/3 and says your charge minions have +1 attack. Wow. It's really bad. It's really bad. No more crazy combos anymore. No more of this guy ruining your life because he makes everything cost less. No more of this guy hitting you in the face for 30 damage in one turn, and I'm not kidding. No more of that guy making 10 of him and charging them all. Well, 7. 6, whatever. So the Brune Patron Warrior deck is dead. It is dead. And there's no coming back. It's never going to be the same. It's not going to be powerful anymore. It's not going to have that, Frothing Berserker burst damage of, 20-something damage. It's not going to have the ability to charge a bunch of Grim Patrons into you and flood the board with them, clear your board. That's not going to happen anymore. The deck won't work. So what does this mean? What does this do? Well, obviously, we're not going to see this deck really anymore. Not on the ladder, not on competitive tournaments, and anything like that. So what happens to the world? Well, new decks are going to pop up. A lot of decks had to pass the litmus test of does it beat Grim Patron? Chances were, probably not. Probably didn't. The only deck that was reliably good against Grim Patron was Handlock. Had a lot of board clears for it. Had Hellfires, 3 mana, deal 3 damage, kill the Grim Patron, probably kill Frothing Berserkers, killed the Warsong Commander, had Shadow Flame to just do a variable amount of damage, technically, to the whole board. But, that's no longer necessary. You no longer need to pass the litmus test of does this deck beat Grim Patron. So my guesses, and probably the internet's guesses too, because I've done a little reading on this, is that these two people, little Jaina over here, well, there, and Uther over there, they're probably going to benefit the most from this. Depending on the deck you run. Obviously, Mage has a lot of decks right now that are really good for it. Tempo Mage, big one with Flamewaker. You've seen some Dragon Mages. There's some Mech Mages coming back. There's a whole bunch of Mages deck. But the big Mage deck that can make a comeback now that Grim Patron decks are gone is Freeze Mage. So, cool. That deck's going to make a comeback. And probably mid-range Paladin. Not Secret Paladin. Good old mid-range Paladin, like you remember from Goblins vs. Gnomes, when that sort of came about. So what does all this mean? What does all this do? Well, for one thing, mid-range Paladin coming back makes Shamans even less good, unfortunately. So, because mid-range Shaman is basically a worse version of mid-range Paladin. Plain and simple. They're both trying to do the same thing, mid-game board control. It's just Paladin does it better, and Paladin has more powerful cards in the deck. That's what it comes down to. So, sorry, Shaman. You're still going to be low man on the totem pole. I hate myself for that. Anyway, so then Freeze Mage. We have the case of Freeze Mage. It's probably going to come back a little bit. Still going to have a hard time against Warrior, because Warrior's always been a problem for Freeze Mage. You just armor and get more armor to the point where the Freeze Mage just can't kill you, and you win. And that's what it comes down to. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to come back, because Freeze Mage is going to destroy mid-range Paladin if mid-range Paladin comes back. Freeze Mage wrecks Paladin's life. So that'll be interesting to see. I think this will be good for the meta, and here's why. Because like I said before, it was stifling the meta. It was basically making it so that you had to have a deck that if it did not beat Grim Patron Warrior, you probably weren't going to do that well, especially in a tournament. And for climbing ladder, you know, one patron will just ruin your streak, ruin your day. You know, you had to be good with the deck, yes, but, you know, someone who made legend or top 5 ranks is probably very good with Grim Patron if they got that far with it. So I feel like this will be a good thing. I don't like Grim Patron Warrior. I never played it. Hated the deck, quite frankly. And I liked Paladin a lot. I liked the old mid-range Paladin. And I couldn't play it anymore because Grim Patron would ruin my life. So I think this is good. It is, I will say, a little sad to see an archetype go with such a hard nerf. Because if you remember with Starving Buzzard, when they nerfed that card from a 3 mana 2/1, you know, draw a card for a beast you summon to now a 5 mana 3/2, that card is gone. That card is out of the game. No one plays it anymore. It is useless. You know, that's this kind of nerf. They nerfed Warsong Commander enough that you're never going to see it again. Probably. Unless someone finds something crazy to come up with, like some wacky charge deck. I don't know. But, you know, 3 mana, 2/3, if you have charge minions have +1 attack power, that's not going to cut it anymore. So this is like Starving Buzzard levels of nerf. So I don't see, you know, I don't see a way around it. But the thing was, hunters, that archetype, you know, the aggressive hunter, the mid-range hunter, they bounced back. Their lists had to change. You know, mid-range hunter couldn't be so mid-range. They had to get a little more aggressive, so it became that hybrid hunter list that you see floating around a lot. But the deck's not gone. Hunter still has amazingly powerful cards. They still have their Savannah High mains. They still have their Huffer, Getter, Animal Companion. It's always Huffer. It's always Huffer. But yeah, so this basically killed an archetype. So now warriors are in a bit of a pickle, because in the metagame, you didn't know if you were mulliganing against Control Warrior or if you were mulliganing against Patron Warrior, and you need very different cards from your deck to beat, you know, each deck respectively. So Warrior might be a little bit more predictable for a while. People are going to probably go right back to Control Warrior, which is okay. It's not the worst thing, because Control Warrior is still a very good, viable deck. It costs a lot of dust, which sucks, because this deck was pretty cheap to make dust-wise. But, so Warrior's going to be a little more predictable, more or less. Not forever. I don't think forever. I think that a lot of different Warrior decks are coming up right now. Dragon Warrior, for example. That's not really well explored right now. Even more mid-range warriors are popping up that actually are using Varian Rin, the new legendary warriors got. That's a new archetype that could pop up. It doesn't necessarily have to be Control Shell anymore, because the Control Shell right now is extreme control. It's like go to fatigue and wear your opponent out because you have more armor than them control. It doesn't have to be that way, and I'm interested to see where warriors go after this. Who else might come back? Maybe rogues will come back. Oil Rogue kind of got pushed out with all the new stuff that came around. I don't know if it's necessarily going to come back or not. We'll see. Druids, I think, are largely going to be unaffected by this. You know, they're probably just going to get better because Grim Patron could beat Druids. Now Druids are just going to beat everybody as they usually do. Still going to probably have a tough time versus Mage, especially Freeze Mage. So Druids might get a little bullied out by Freeze Mages now. We'll see. Let's run, I guess we'll run down the class list. Priest, again, Priest's gonna just start doing better. They don't have to worry about Patron anymore, so Dragon Priests are probably gonna keep aggro in its place, because my god, Dragon Priest can keep aggro in its place. The Paletrus sort of control Priest decks that are around, still gonna be fine, still gonna just be better than ever. I think Hunter's gonna be just fine, especially now that more Paladins will be played, which means also, you know, in addition to this mid-range Paladin, Secret Paladin's going to be around. Hunter's been teching Flare real hard for Paladins, so they're going to have Flare against Freeze Mages. Hunters are going to probably be just fine, like the mid-range sort of Hunters. Like I said before, Shaman is a worse Paladin, so I don't know. I don't know about this one. The interesting thing is Handlock now. So Handlock used to be the deck, like I said, beats Patron. Mid-range Paladin pretty reliably beats Handlock. They have a lot of ways to get around it. Elder Peacekeeper to nerf their giants to nothing. You know, they have a quality consecrate to clear the board. They just have very good board control. So a hand like might see a bit of dip in play. Who knows? But I don't know. I think this will be overall a good thing. I think this is a good thing. I think it's going to take the stranglehold off of the metagame and let people explore new decks. Let people not be so afraid of Big Bad Patron. I have a feeling that Secret Paladin's going to win out from this. I think Secret Paladin's going to become top of the heap. Merely because it's very easy to play. You just plop down Mysterious Challenger on turn 6. You probably got this. I don't know. I could definitely see Dragon Priest making a resurgence to tier 1 in the deck's pantheon, I guess you want to call it that. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I like a discussion about this. So if you could leave some comments in the video below the video, you can do that. I'll probably post this on Facebook, so you can talk about it there. Tweet me if you want at no more. It's sitting fucking right there. So let me know what you guys think. What's going to happen to the metagame? What decks? Who won? What decks are going to come out of this on top? If you have some cool deck ideas that you think will work now that Grim Patron's going to be gone next week, let us know. See what happens. So I think that's about it for me. I think we've talked about this enough, and I look forward to chatting about it more with you. So toodles, I guess.